Check my clock, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols, reaming my body.
Boruto episode 196 review. Alright guys, this episode right here was definitely a very good episode. Pretty much everything that we thought it was going to be. The biggest thing about this episode in my opinion was of course the sparring scene between Naruto and Boruto. But in my opinion the most important scene has to be the one where Kashin Koji actually pulls up to the Hidden Leaf Village and actually implants a tool into the Hidden Leaf Village to actually go try and find Kawaki. Now Kashin Koji throughout these episodes have been looking more and more like Jiraiya. This right here in my opinion comes straight from the Jiraiya playbook. Now I'm not necessarily sure 100% if Jiraiya did something that is completely similar to this, but I would be 100% lying if I told you guys that I did not think of Jiraiya when I seen Kashin Koji's eyes basically mimic the frog eyes that were basically spying on Kawaki. This right here looks absolutely insane. Now one of the things that I do want to point out is that Kashin Koji could possibly be on his own mission. Now obviously I don't necessarily want to completely jump to any sort of conclusions. The manga readers plus myself know exactly what the situation is, but in this particular episode right here, it just seems like Kashin Koji and Delta, they are not on the exact same page. And of course Kashin Koji likes to move by himself and by his lonesome because of course he's the quote-unquote assassin. Now of course I do want to point out this doesn't necessarily mean 100% Kashin Koji isn't necessarily on the same wavelength as Delta. It might just be that Kashin Koji just flat out does not like Delta. We already seen her Delta's opinions about Kashin Koji earlier when she was having a dinner with Jigen a couple episodes ago. She basically said that she doesn't trust Kashin Koji and it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities of Kashin Koji himself vice versa does not trust Delta as well. But nevertheless, right now it is absolutely confirmed that Kashin Koji knows where Kawaki is, and there is a very good possibility that Kashin Koji in the future could possibly pull up to that same exact location and potentially just kidnap Kawaki. At this particular point when I was reading it for the first time in the Boruto manga, I was 100% convinced that we were going to eventually see a Kashin Koji versus Naruto battle. This right here might still be the possibility in the Boruto anime, and to be honest it would just make sense. One thing that I definitely do want to point out, I thought it would definitely make sense for Kashin Koji to try to take Kawaki because Kashin Koji is an assassin. He does like to move in secrecy. He possibly thinks that he's able to actually just extract Kawaki without anybody actually knowing, but we 100% know that Naruto is surveilling Kawaki 100% every single hour of every single day. So because of that, I can't necessarily see Kashin Koji taking Kawaki and Naruto doesn't necessarily notice. So of course the matchup between Kashin Koji and Naruto right now seems inevitable. But one of the interesting things right now that's still a mystery is how Kashin Koji actually got into the Hidden Leaf Village without actually being detected by the Hidden Leaf Village surveillance. In the last episode we kind of got the inkling that Kashin Koji wasn't necessarily going to be detected, but in this episode right here we actually seen Kashin Koji walk around the Hidden Leaf Village. We seen Kashin Koji with his leg kicked up and then nobody's basically on high alert. So now it's absolutely confirmed that Kashin Koji has some sort of chakra that is familiar to the Hidden Leaf Village. I want to know what you guys think about that in the comment section below for the anime only to people who don't really know exactly what's going on. But regardless, I do want to hop into the next topic. It's going to be Naruto versus Boruto. Now this right here was definitely a very good battle in my opinion. This right here is actually one of the battles that I was 100% looking forward to come the anime adaptation. Now I personally wasn't necessarily expecting anything to be animated completely amazing, mainly because we understand that there is going to be a future battle in a couple episodes that's supposed to be extremely elite, that's supposed to be animated to damn near perfection. But regardless, this battle right here did actually show us the difference between Boruto with the Karma Seal and Boruto without the Karma Seal. One of the things that I do have to say is super impressive with the choreography team in this episode. Even though Boruto didn't lay a single hit on Naruto with or without the Karma Seal, it was still 100% apparent that Boruto got a lot stronger when he did activate the Karma Seal. The hits just hit harder, the jutsus were just bigger. Everything when Boruto activated the Karma Seal just seemed that much amplified. Now to this day, even in the Boruto manga, we don't really know specifically what the multiplier is when Boruto does actually activate the Karma Seal, but I 100% would not be surprised if this multiplier is like over a 10 times multiplier for Boruto. It just seemed that much insane. But one thing that I definitely do want to point out is the fact that we didn't necessarily get to see any of the Karma Seal abilities. We really only got to see the bare bones of the Karma Seal and what it could possibly do. We didn't get to see Boruto fly, we didn't get to see Boruto absorb any jutsus, and of course we didn't necessarily get to see that bioenergy blast that Kawaki loves to use when he himself does activate the Karma Seal. And we also found out that Boruto still to this day doesn't really know how to activate the Karma Seal, and of course Boruto's Karma Seal is still resonating off of Kawaki's Karma Seal. Now during the training scene with Naruto and Boruto, Kawaki was completely fascinated and actually triggered a flashback when Kawaki was thinking back of how he used to train with Jigen. This this point right here has been hammering home for a very long time. It's the fact that Kawaki now living with Naruto. It's a huge culture shock, even down to the training. When Jigen and Kawaki were training together, it looked absolutely nothing like that. Jigen was pretty much bullying Kawaki, but in this case, when Naruto is training with Boruto, Naruto and Boruto are actually having fun. Naruto is actually trying to teach Boruto certain things, and of course, Boruto is trying to teach Naruto about the Karma Stone. This right here was completely different. When Kawaki was training with Jigen, Jigen was basically barking orders at him. Kawaki wasn't necessarily allowed to ask any questions, and of course, Kawaki didn't necessarily have any time to rest, because Jigen wanted him to quote-unquote master the Karma Stone. Also, Jigen actually did say that he was going to be useless to him if he didn't necessarily master the Karma Stone. Now, that right there is going to be super important as well, because I do actually want to make some theory videos about that, specifically about why Jigen actually does want Kawaki to quote-unquote master the Karma Stone. Even in the Boruto manga to this day, we still don't necessarily know 100% why he wants Kawaki to actually master the Karma Stone. But regardless, Kawaki actually told Naruto that he doesn't actually use chakra. Now, this right here is absolutely insane. When I found this out in the Boruto manga when I was first reading this, I was absolutely blown away, because as we've seen, Kawaki is a very strong character. At his young of an age, to be that strong even without the Karma Stone and not use chakra, imagine how strong Kawaki is going to be when he actually does master chakra, if he does eventually train alongside Naruto, which Naruto actually said that he was going to actually train and teach Kawaki ninjutsu. This right here is going to be absolutely insane. Now, the last thing I do want to point about this episode is the fact that Naruto and Kawaki, they had a very heartfelt moment. Of course, Boruto seeing that as well. Boruto didn't necessarily want to completely interrupt that and talk about the vase that Kawaki was pretty much failing to fix, even though at the end of the episode, Kawaki did actually start to fix the vase. But regardless, this right here was a super important scene, man, because I did talk about it in the Boruto manga, because it doesn't necessarily show why and how Kawaki did actually warm up to Naruto and Boruto. It just seemed like one day he was completely pissed off at them, and the next day he was all buddy-buddy and calling Boruto his brother. Obviously, it wasn't necessarily that stark. We did get to see some sort of character development in the Boruto manga, but nowhere as close to this and nowhere as emotional as this right here. So I really like what the Boruto anime is doing, but I do know what you guys think about this episode in the comment section below. Give me your favorite moment about this episode. As I said, my personal favorite moment is going to be Naruto versus Boruto. It's been your boy Barbie, and we out.
It's a knife.